Welcome to InappropriateFolktales.com. Here's your host, Sean Buvala.
The story I'm going to tell you is one of the oldest Grimm fairy tales out there. I mean, really old. It was only in the first book, 1812. Well, of course, the king had a beautiful daughter. That's how it goes in these stories. And he had a beautiful daughter that he had to marry off. Now, how you feel about that is either way, it's just a fairy tale. Don't put too much into it. So he had a daughter that he needed to marry off. And he said that he would have a plan to find the bravest man in the kingdom. He said that whoever could stay 3 nights in that spooky, haunted castle, they would win the hand of the bride of the princess. Well, no one wanted to be part of that. Who wants to spend 3 nights in a scary castle? Finally, one young man, who shall remain nameless as young man, which actually means something, but I don't know what at the moment. He came to the king and he said, "Sir, I will spend 3 nights in the castle. I am poor, I have nothing to lose and everything to gain." And the king said, "Very well, young man. We'll see if you're brave enough. 3 nights in the castle. Now, you may take 3 things into the castle with you that are lifeless. 3 ordinary inanimate objects. What would you like to take?" The boy said, "Well, I would like some music that plays gently throughout the... I would like a carpenter's table that would have a lathe and a knife and some fire." The king agreed, and so that was put right into the castle. And as night fell, the young man was pushed into the castle, and there he would wait. Well, he took that fire off that lathe, and he began to make a fire right there in that fireplace. Blew it. And then he heard a sound. Biff, baff, hee-hee, holla, ho. Biff, baff, hee-hee, holla, ho. Biff, baff, hee-hee, holla, ho. What are you waiting for? Biff, biff, baff, hee-hee, holla, ho. And it got louder. Biff, baff, hee-hee, holla, ho. Biff, baff, hee-hee, holla, ho. Don't give up. Keep going. Biff, baff, hee-hee, holla, ho. And down through that fireplace, whonk, landed a human leg. And the boy looked at that, and he said, "Well, that's not enough for bowling. Where's the other 8? And he heard the sound. Biff, baff, hee-hee, holla, ho. Do I have to tell you to do this? Come on now. Ready? Biff, baff, hee-hee, holla, ho. Biff, baff, hee-hee, holla, ho. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Bonk, another leg kept coming down. Oh, keep going. We got 8 more legs, 7 more legs. Okay, go. Boof, 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 boof. 9 legs. And the boy thought, well, I'd be glad to do some bowling, but I don't have any balls. Bring them out. That's the interpretation. I'm sorry. That's what it says. And at that moment, that sound happened again. Biff, baff, hee-hee, holla, ho. Biff, baff, hee-hee, holla, ho. Boom. Down through the fireplace fell 2 skulls. The boy picked them up, and he thought, well, these are perfect. And he took them over to the lathe, and then he ground those skulls until they were perfectly round. Until they were perfectly round. And he used that to start bowling those legs back and forth and up and down. And he did that for quite some time. When that sound happened again, biff, baff, hee-hee, holla, ho, biff, baff, hee-hee, holla, ho, biff, baff, hee-hee, holla, ho. 2 cats fell out of the fireplace right over the fire. Now the king had warned him that things weren't what they seemed to be, that evil spirits occupied the castle. Things weren't what they seemed to be. Remember that before you complain to me about what's about to happen. Evil spirits. And those two little cats, they walked away from the fire. We're freezing. We're freezing. The boy said, "You stupid, stupid cats. There's a fire right there. Warm yourself by the fire." So they went to the fire. And then they turned around and they said, "Do you want to play cards? How about cards? Let's play cards. Come, boy, let's play cards." And he looked at them, and he knew something wasn't right. Things were not the way they seemed. And he said, "Oh, well, I could play cards with you. But what I need you to do is to come over here and let me see those claws, because those claws look awfully sharp and you might cheat at cards. So come closer if you would." And the cats walked over. And he picked up those two cats and he looked at them, and they were evil. And so he threw them down on the carpenter's bench, and he took a knife and he stabbed each one of the cats in the head. And then he took their bodies, threw them out the door into the lake next door. And then the house, biff, baff, hee-hee, holla, ho, keep going, biff, baff, hee-hee, holla, ho, biff, baff, hee-hee, holla, ho. The room began, keep going, biff, baff. The room began to fill with all kinds of animals, dogs and cats. Keep going. All of those animals were filling the room. And he thought, this is not as it seems to be. And so he took his knife and now stop. And then he began to cut and slash and beat and terrorize all of those animals. But they weren't animals, remember? Until he took them and he threw half of them into the water so they would drown in the lake. He cut up the rest of them and the rest ran away. Oh. Finally, there was peace in the haunted castle, and he decided, this has been a long night. It is now my turn to go lay down. And so he went and he laid down in the bed in the corner. And as he slept in the bed, he heard a little bit of sound. Biff, baff, biff, baff, biff. Say it. Biff, baff, biff, baff, biff, baff, biff, baff. The bed began, keep going. The bed began to shake. The bed began to move. It chased around the room with the boy on the bed. Around the room it galloped and galloped and galloped and galloped. And he said, "I am not afraid of you." And then it flipped over and he fell off the bed. And the sheets and the pillows fell with him. And he said, "Fine. I will not sleep on you tonight." And then he put the sheets and the pillow on the floor, and he slept on the floor deeply. And in the morning, when the king came in, he looked, and there in front of the fire was the boy. And he was so still. The king thought, "Oh, he has died." And he said, "Oh, it is a shame." And when he heard that, the boy woke up. And he said, "Sire, it's only been one night." The king was greatly relieved to see that the boy was alive. And he said, "Shall you continue?" And the boy said, "Yes, for 2 more nights." And each night thereafter, it was exactly the same thing. Biff, baff, hee-hee, holla, ho. Say it. Biff, baff, hee-hee, holla, ho. Biff, baff, hee-hee, holla, ho, for 2 more nights. But at the end of that 3rd night, the boy left the house and went to where the king was. And the king saw that he was alive and that he had conquered the fears of that terrible castle. And the boy and the princess were married happily ever after. Biff, baff, hee-hee, holla, ho. I don't like to tell you what to think about folk tales, but I'm going to suggest that sometimes you just got to grab those fears and you got to beat the crap out of them and throw them in the lake. That is the story of good bowling and card playing.
You've been listening to inappropriatefolktales.com. Copyright 2017. All rights reserved.